Hello, hello, hello. Let me fix this. Sorry, I'm usually much more prepared for things. But hi, for those of you who are new to this channel, who are coming over from Starting as Strangers. Why did I point that way? It was the wrong way anyway for the old-fashioned. Whatever. For anyone who was here from Starting as Strangers, hi, this is my normal channel. I don't post here as often as I'd like, but I wanted to make a video because on my other channel, well, not my other channel, the other channel that I share, I had made a fairly significant promise. Oh, excuse me. And that promise was to review all of the comic books that I had gotten from Free Comic Book Day. Now, I wanted to give a preface to a few things on here. I am not your typical comic book fan. I enjoyed Spider-Man, Batman, and superheroes growing up, but to be completely honest, I never saw them as comic book characters. I saw them as superheroes. You know, saving the day. I didn't get into comics until the year 2007, when I had graduated from, well, before I graduated from high school. I was introduced to this webcomic called Dominique Deegan. And I am a fan of tons of webcomic. I go through Webtoons on my phone, although I am a little bit behind on that app, so I need to catch up on a lot of the comics on there. But the one that I enjoy the most is this. Now, this is called Two Kinds. If you can't read backwards, I understand. Oh, I guess it's forwards. This is called Two Kinds. This is probably one of the most interesting webcomics out there. And I also have these because I backed Thomas Fishbach when he did his Kickstarter for the first two volumes. I paid $50 and it was well worth it in my eyes. But and just so you know, these are going to be props in my other video that you'll be seeing tomorrow on the Starting as Strangers YouTube channel. So yeah, you'll be seeing that tomorrow, and there's going to be a little bit more production value because I do edit those ones now. At least I edited my last few. But these are not the typical comics that you'll see me getting. I enjoy Apocalypse Owl. I'm actually going to be talking a little bit about it tomorrow, not going into any details. And these comics are from Free Comic Book Days of the past. I've read all of them. I've enjoyed all of them. But I love the internet and being able to have access to these right here without going and grabbing and pulling them off my bookshelf and such is wonderful to me. It's one of the reasons I really enjoy audiobooks as well, because I can put them on my Google profile or my Audible account and listen to them whenever. But that being said, I go to Free Comic Book Day every year. My daughter comes with me every year. I thought this was going to be a fantastic series because I thought the comic was decent. Because it gave me a little bit of an example of some of the quirkier side of Teen Titans. Well, also, you know, setting up a battle, setting up something kinda interesting, but I got my hopes a little bit too high. This is just a little bit better than the TV show. This is freaking hilarious. If you are mature enough to handle, like, adult themes, then yeah. Fubar is interesting. I don't remember too much of it. I remember that it left me wanting more. And Free Comic Book Day, that's fine. Steam Wars is exactly what it looks like.
I want more. I want to see.
I'll get you some more later, but we don't have any at home, sweetie. And that's the Boogie. Steam Wars is, as you can tell, Star Wars, just steampunk. See, even on the back. And the cats are fighting. Grim Fairy Tales, exactly what it sounds like. It goes into a fun little take on fairy tales that's more similar to the style of the Grimm fairy tales, or the Grimm version of fairy tales. I don't know if it's exactly lining up with them. I think it's an original take on them, but it's definitely worth the read. I'll leave the rest up to you to decide. Sherwood, Texas, not extremely groundbreaking, but has an interesting art style, and it's worth the read. I mean, take a look. Here's some fun. Also includes Boondock Saints. So, yeah, those are from yesteryear, as I'll call it. And here's one that I really want to find all of them on. It is called Courtney Crumrin, and if you haven't read this, I really do suggest it. It has a great and fluid art style, or at least a well-defined art style, that leaves it open to be both childish looking, yet dark, which is actually where I'm going to begin on that. So, for this year's Free Comic Book Day, I did what I thought would interest me the most. I chose 5 comics for myself. 5 comics for myself. My daughter picked 5 for her, although I think I actually got 6 for myself, and she got 4 for her, but one of them was, actually, let's start with this one. This one right here, very good art style, and it's all black and white, so it kind of feels like someone wanting to go for a very like rough look to it, but the story in there is kind of dark but still heartwarming at its core. Now, for those of you who don't know, I enjoy young adult fiction. Like, this is a fantastic book, and this is my favorite author. Fantastic. Truly amazing work. And if you haven't read it, I highly suggest it. But that leaves me into Crush. I want to get all of these books, but it doesn't come out until fall. This Crush doesn't come out until fall of 2018, but I want to get Awkward and Brave. Awkward and Brave. Because this is exactly what you're getting. Like on the back, it says, "You saw an awkward and brave that surviving middle school isn't that easy, but it's much harder when you have a crush on someone. Welcome to the halls of Berrybrook Middle School. This time George takes the stage." And it definitely has a middle school appeal to it. It sort of has an almost anime vibe to it, but like westernized. Not in the same way as Avatar. This one's more toned down on the seriousness and the art style, while still giving us something funny, something worth looking into. And I'm going to pause this real quick just so that I can make sure that the time doesn't run out, because this only lasts 10 minutes at a time, and I want to make sure it goes correctly. Alright, and now I'm back. And going in with the young adult theme, Street Angel's Dog, just imagine a more upgraded art style from, like an upgraded art style from Scott Pilgrim versus the World comic book style, just a little bit more detailed, a little bit more refined. This will give you a better example of it, of what I'm talking about on here. It's sort of a mix between these two at times. Here. Still more detail than you'd expect from, or that you've seen from Scott Pilgrim versus the World, but it is still a good comic in it. Very heartwarming, very adorable is a good sense of it. And moving on to another one. This one's, no, I'll say that one for right after this. Defend Comics doesn't follow a single theme. It's just a few comics just to essentially have a comic book filled with different comics from different comic book creators. And they even go with the classic like strip look. And one that does everything in the strip look is this Disney Princess, and this is the Little Mermaid one. Like, all of this is from the Little Mermaid, I believe. Yeah, I had to double check. My daughter picked this one out, obviously, but seriously, if you're a fan of Disney, I would definitely give this one a shot. Yeah, Disney's still making comics. But something that was not a comic book company at first, or at least this property wasn't from comics, Invader Zim. This is not amazing or groundbreaking. This is, compared to a lot of the other things from Invader Zim that you've seen, especially if you go into the comics, this is boring. That being said, it is still well worth the read, just due to, well, you get exactly what you're going into with this. You get Zim, and excuse me, and like, here's a few pictures, but that's all I'm going to show. See? Some exactly what you think was Zim, and there's a reason I'm not going into a lot of details with these. These are very short comics, even comic. Yeah, seriously, there are a few pages each, or maybe a couple pages, couple dozen pages, but seriously, if you want the experience, I suggest buying them. Now, this is what you'd be expecting from a comic book fan. The Amazing Spider-Man, and I really like the fact that he's holding a cup of coffee while also doing the, the sling fingers. I know everyone knows that as a Hills and Horns and such, but then we also know it's for, yeah, don't get me started. Good, essentially a good kind of soft reboot of things, or a future, this is the Amazing Spider-Man #1, and then you also learn everything about Infinity. And this one is kind of disappointing because it has a ton more ads. Like, here's where the story ends, like just these few pages right here, and then you have like almost the same amount with ads and explaining Infinity, which is kind of nice, but I would have preferred to have a little bit more meat to the actual comic. Entropy is interesting, to say the least. I'm not a huge fan of the art style, but it gets its job done, and it also has like another comic in there with it, which I really prefer this art style over the first one, but it's realistic but this one's meant to be grittier, whereas the other one still has a little bit of stylization. Still feels smoother. I think that's a good one. And the story's good. Like, the story in all of these are good, excluding the Invader Zim one. That one is fairly predictable. But for an Invader Zim fan, it's still 100% worth the read. I'm not going to say it's a bad comic. It's just they could have done more to entice, because that's what this is. And I don't think they did their best job to entice people other than Invader Zim fans. Now this one, at first I thought this was going to be like an Archie's ripoff, and just due to the art style being more like Archie's or Josie and the Pussycats, that era, but it has its own humor. And obviously by the cover you'd think it's a little bit dark, but it has a silliness mixed in with the darkness. Like, Invader Zim is more dark than funny. Well, this is more funny than dark, if that makes any sense. Still has a slightly dark vibe to it, but you can tell that the humor is where it's at. And Die Kitty Die, I'm excited to look further into this. And the last one is going to be the more, I guess esoteric's a good word for it. And this is Strangers in Paradise 25. And it is not what I expected. It's extremely realistic with actually good posing and good bodily expression. It's animated in all the right ways. It's still in all the right ways. And I'm not going to show you any more than the cover, because this much alone got me into it. Just let me zoom in. And that's exactly what I got from it. And I think that is well worth a read or a watch. If you things that you want to, I don't know. And it also has a little ad for a Terry Moore comic. It's like the 25th anniversary sketchbook. And yeah, it's actually kind of cute. I like it. But yeah, it's done by Terry Moore, and if you're into the more abstract comics, Abstract Studio, yeah. But if you're more into the, like, not really abstract, but more grounded and interesting, yeah, interesting is a good word, kind of comics, then this is right up your alley for comics. But yeah, that's it. That's all that I need to say on this. If you're not subscribed, feel free to subscribe below. Don't ring the bell, because you're going to be kind of disappointed, but maybe you'll be interested in the other things that I do. Go ahead and subscribe to my Starting the Strangers thing. My videos there are much shorter than this one, and yeah, and much better quality. Anyway, I will upload this in just a little bit.